I'm excited.
So tell us the gist of what we're going to be doing today, Madeline.
We're going to be talking about one of the best stories ever, Peter Pan, by J.M. Barrie. Oh, shit. Your cover is much cooler than mine. Is it like gold leaf?
No, it's actually like orange.
I like that one.
That's pretty.
So today we're going to be doing kind of a little game like we did with Charlie and Chocolate Factory, but with Peter Pan. So we're comparing the book to the 1953 movie by Walt Disney, and then also the 2003 version with Jeremy Sumner, to see which is more like the original book, the original story. Anyway.
Wait, Andrea, did you read the book too?
I read the book and saw both the movies.
Wait, everyone should go through and say what they did in preparation for this. Okay, Madeline, what did you do?
Okay, so I read the book, and then I did not rewatch. I rewatched the Disney version, but I did not rewatch the live action version because I saw it recently. So I felt like I knew what happened.
Eliza, what did you do?
I rewatched the Disney version, and I read the book like a year and a half ago, right?
2018.
Oh, I read it with Madeline, so 2 years ago. And then I did not rewatch the Jeremy Sumner version, but in my defense, Madeline has made me watch it like 10 times in my lifetime, so I think I'm good.
Okay. Andrea, what did you do?
I read the book and I watched both the movies last weekend, or this week, while I was off.
Andrea's the most prepared.
Yes.
And then I watched the Disney one this morning, and I don't think I've ever read the book, and I don't think I've ever seen the 2003 Jeremy Sumner one.
You are missing out, Kelly. Okay, so first of all, this is the original book, which you do have one of the original covers, Andrew, which is cool, the design at least. And then Peter Pan movie, 1953 version, and then 2003 version. Okay. So, did Peter cut off Hook's left or right hand, according to the book?
Left.
I don't know.
Did you ever notice that they were different between the movies?
No.
Andrew, what's your guess? Oh, shoot, I clicked. So it's actually the right hand he cut off.
Yeah.
Did you know that, Andrea?
I thought, well, in the Peter Pan, the animated one this morning, they actually talk about it when the kids are like playing.
Mm-hmm.
He has like a coat hanger, and Wendy's like, no, it's the other hand. So in the animated one, they say he cut off his left hand.
Yeah. But it's actually the right. I find that weird because I feel like that's a huge part of the story, like symbolism, like not maybe symbolism, but like Hook's hand. It's odd that they switched it up. Next one.
I always find it weird when they switch a detail like that.
Yeah.
Like, why do that? I don't really get why they do something so small like that.
So why did Wendy want to go to Neverland? 1, she didn't want to grow up. 2, she wanted to have an adventure. Or 3, because her dad punished Nana.
1.
Andrea?
It says right on that picture, right?
But that's the Disney one. This is supposed to be for the book.
Oh. Okay, I'm going to change my guess to 2. Okay.
Well, I just showed the answer. It was actually primarily because her dad punished Nana.
That really bothered me in the Disney version. It was really mean.
I thought it was because she was always like doing everything right.
Yeah, the dad in the Disney
to see a mermaid.
A little much.
Yeah, she definitely did want to have an adventure, and she like always told the stories. But there's a specific line in here, which I could probably find. I highlighted it. Where she flat out says that she only went with Peter because her dad punished Nana.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I'll get to that last part later. But that was, I'll find that line too. I thought that was interesting though, because in the movie, they were Walt Disney one, and then in the live action, a lot of it was centered around the fact that Wendy didn't want to grow up, and that
She had to leave the nursery.
Yeah, in the Disney one. Yeah, and so when I read that, I thought that was really bizarre because they definitely didn't highlight that in the book at all. Who put Peter's shadow in a drawer?
Beethoven?
I think it was Nana in the book.
I'm gonna guess the dog, because in Disney it's Wendy. So
I'm gonna go with neither.
What?
oh,
It's
come
neither.
on.
It was actually it was actually Miss Darling. Like she
She folded them, right?
She didn't know what to do with it, so she just put it in the drawer.
Did she not think it's weird that there's this like shadow in her house?
She, in the book, she actually knew a lot about Peter coming to their room than lets on in the movies.
She was like, okay with
I want to read the book now.
I thought the book was fantastic, and I'll tell you about it at the end.
Yeah.
Which Peter Pan depiction is closer to the book?
Well, I mean, the Walt Disney one is a cartoon.
Touche.
Kelly, what's your guess?
I'm not on board with either of these outfit choices.
You have to pick one.
I'll go with the animated one, I guess.
I'm gonna go with live action.
It was live action. There's a picture of him from the illustrated version I have. But what I find is very interesting is that he's never wearing a hat. But I feel like the hat with the red feather is so stereotypical or like identifiable with Peter Pan, and it wasn't even in the original book.
Fascinating.
It just shows you how much power Disney has over everything.
Yeah, true. What type of dog is Nana?
For me, so I get the Beethoven, that's not even what those are called, St. Bernard reference. And I, looking at the picture now, I'm like St. Bernard, but for some reason, as a child, I always thought she was a Cocker Spaniel.
What?
No. I'm going to go with a hard wrong on that one.
I'm seeing now that I may have been wrong.
Maybe a touch.
St. Bernard.
That's what I thought too, but she's actually supposed to be a Newfoundland.
Oh, Newfie. Okay, that makes sense. I could see that then.
And there are Newfoundlands that that definitely look more like that, like with the spotted. I think in my head, I just always picture them as like black.
Yeah.
I always think of them as all white.
Oh, that's odd.
Those are Great Pyrenees.
I think you're right, but I think Newfies do come in white or black too.
I think they do have different colors too, man.
I think the Great Pyrenees is traditionally white, but I don't know.
Fun fact, J.M. Barrie had a Newfoundland. And so that's, you can see pictures. I should have put one in here, but there are pictures with him and the large dog he had. So that's how, why he named it that breed.
That's cute.
Cool.
How does Hook discover the Lost Boys' hideout treehouse? Like, who is the culprit behind it?
Well, I know in the Disney movie, Tink tells them, but I get the feeling it was Wendy.
Liz?
I'll guess Wendy too.
Andrea?
They just stumble upon it.
Yup, it's neither.
They're just like, oh, here it is.
They just like saw a lost boy and like going over there. And so I find it interesting that the movies both pinned it on a female though, as like the person who caved.
I did find it weird because I just watched the movie this morning that so they have a map and Tink like walks around the map and there's like 4 major what are those called, landmarks, and the tree is one of them, and he's like, we've looked everywhere and they didn't look there. And then like watching them come home from the Indian celebration, They're all like just loud and coming in. I'm like, why didn't you just like watch where all these kids are coming and going from? Like, it wasn't secretive about it. I always thought it was kind of weird that Hook needed someone to tattle, but they stumbled upon it in the book because the movies all tend to be lies.
They are lies.
At some point, are we also going to talk about how sassy Tink is? Or how mean Peter is to Wendy?
Okay, and can we talk about how much like jealousy goes on? We got the girls in the waterfall. We got Tink. We got Wendy. They're constantly battling for Peter, and he's
Tiger
not even.
Lily.
Tiger Lily.
Yeah, Tiger Lily too.
Oh yeah.
For a boy who doesn't want to grow up, a lot of girls are interested in him.
I know, and they all like fight over him, and I'm like, this is stupid. He's not even that great. Like, what's his retirement like?
But even the Lost Boys kind of fight over him. Like, they admire him so much. Like, especially more in the book, I'd say, to where like he is on
Try to
a
impress
pedestal
him.
with them. Mhm.
Yeah.
You know, I have to say, watching it this morning over again, the thing that caught me off guard most was like when Peter first talks to Wendy and she's putting his like shadow back on, and she's just going on and on about stuff, and he just ignores everything she says and just goes, "Girls talk too much."
Yeah.
And then like ignores her.
After watching it this morning too, I was like, he's not that cool. Like, I don't really care for him, like, as a person, as an animated being.
He was definitely, like, in the book and in the movies, like, supposed to be portrayed as like one of the cockiest boys, and I think he comes off that way for sure.
Success.
Okay. How did Hook try to kill Peter according to the original book? Did he send the bomb package, or was it medicine? Poisoned medicine.
I'm gonna go with poison.
Poison.
It is poison. Oops, I clicked too fast, but it was poison.
I don't like the mermaids.
Okay, what depiction of the mermaids is more accurate according to the book? Were they scary and like dark, or were they happy and like more like sirens, you know? Attractive,
I'll go scary.
I'll go sirens. I didn't read the book though, so I mean, don't side with me.
It was actually more like the Walt Disney version. There's a picture of the mermaids from my book. They were definitely like more, I would say standoffish in the book. Like, they didn't mingle as much with the humans, but they weren't described to be like dark, mysterious creatures either.
Yeah, they try to talk to Peter though.
Yeah.
Right. They do.
They try to kill Wendy in the book too.
Yeah, they try to pull her in the water.
Yeah. Okay, how did Tinkerbell's life get saved at the end of the book? So did children all around the world say, "I do believe in fairies, I do, I do"? Did the children all the world clap once? Or did Peter protect her from the hideout caving in?
I'm gonna go with 2.
I'm gonna go with 1.
Andrew, do you remember?
I feel like 1 and I think they did both. Well, they said they believed in fairies, but they did clap too.
Yeah. So it's, oops, I forgot to put a thing on this, but it's actually 2, but it is kind of a combination. So they didn't have children all around the world say, "I do believe in fairies." Tinkerbell was just like, "You have to make the children believe to save my life." And so Peter Pan made them all clap once, and then she was saved. It was like such a short part. It was like maybe like 3 lines, which I found interesting because in the movie, the real life version, it was a big deal. Like, Peter had to get everyone to say this, you know, to save her.
Well, do you remember in the book, she said she scorned the people who didn't say they believed, and she's all like going to get them back.
Yeah. She didn't think, I thought that sentence was hilarious. I wish I had it. She basically said, she never thanked anyone who said they do believe, but she scorned anyone who hissed and said they didn't.
Yeah.
She wouldn't give them back.
Jeez, Tink.
So what happened to the Lost Boys? Did they go back to Neverland or did they get adopted by the Darling family?
Back to Neverland.
I'm gonna go with Neverland.
No, they got adopted by the Darling family. And in the book, in the book, they actually also tell you a little snippet about what happened to each one too. It's kind of neat.
Do they tell you like where these boys came from in the book? You don't have to tell me where, like, the story, but do they actually tell you how they got to Neverland and why they don't have a family?
They fall out of their palm or their like stroller.
And no one claims them for 7 days. And then Peter Pan takes them to Neverland.
They fall out of a stroller? Like, you're going to the grocery store, your kid falls
Call it
out.
a perambulator. A
Pram, yeah. So I guess it could be like a crib too.
Yeah. Maybe it was like a nursery crib thing.
I think most of them are thought to be orphans. Like they were in an orphanage, they fell out of their pram, and then no one claimed them for 7 days, so Peter Pan takes them to Neverland.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's kind of dark.
Yeah, it says a baby transport with wheels.
So like a stroller, yeah.
Yeah.
Are you ready for some fun other questions?
Yeah.
Okay. Who did Peter Pan say the famous line, "To die would be an awfully big adventure," to? In the real life version, he says it to Captain Hook.
That was gonna be my guess.
Is it so, Captain Hook? Kelly?
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, we'll go with Captain Hook.
No, he actually said it to himself. I thought that was interesting. Like, no one was around. This story actually is quite different in the book than it was in the movies because he ends up getting saved from that rock by a Neverbird who like let him hop into their nest and float away on the water. He was very close to dying, and so he got away. But yeah, he said that line just to himself, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, when he's on that rock.
Yeah.
The rock or whatever.
Marooners Rock, I think.
Yeah, the Marooners Rock.
The book is nothing like either movie, but the two movies are similar to each other. Okay.
Did Wendy ever see Peter Pan again?
Yes.
Yes.
Did you
Andrea?
think that growing up though, or do you just think that since we started doing this?
No, I thought it growing up, but I'm thinking maybe it's because isn't there like where her kid goes back or something?
Yeah, Return to Neverland.
Like she has a kid and Peter visits the kid and she like sees him one time or something.
So, yes. A few times actually, she would go back annually for a week to do spring cleaning for him.
What?
Yeah.
Oh
How
my
shitty is
God.
that?
Oh, Peter.
He would forget sometimes, so it wasn't every single year. But then once Wendy grew up and she had a daughter, Peter came back and then instead took Jane, Wendy's daughter, back to Neverland to do the spring cleaning. And that tradition started going. So then when Jane got older, she had a daughter and Peter would then take her to Neverland. So it started this like tradition within the Darling family.
As
Any girl in the Darling family can go clean.
becomes a maid. Okay, for Peter.
Yeah.
It's not even that cool. Like, come on. I'm not a huge like whatever. Like some people like really look to get offended in movies, especially like the Disney ones, but like Jesus. Like girls talk too much, but she can come spring clean. And you forgot one time?
Many times.
Many
Like
times.
I forgot a couple times? What a rude dude.
Why do the Lost Boys wear animal costumes?
Because they live in
cool.
Because Liz, did you say because it's cool?
Yeah.
Okay, false. Actually, it's because Peter made a law in Neverland and forbid any boy to look like him.
All right. So Peter is a jerk.
Kelly needs to read the book.
Yeah.
I do not like this kid at all.
Yeah, so they actually had to catch those animals and like kill them herself, and then they took their skin in the book and
Okay,
their
does
costume.
it explain like how Peter got this like high and mighty ivory tower or like
Wait.
high horse?
No, it didn't.
The other question
Okay.
I had, Madeline, go back one. What? Where did they find a raccoon the size of a child to skin? Like, what
I
is
have
going
no
on in
idea.
Neverland? It
I
creeps
have-
me out a little.
Here's another fun fact, though, that I thought was really interesting in the book. So they weren't allowed to grow up, right? So, but the numbers of lost boys changed on the island, varying from which ones died. Interesting. And for the treehouse, you know how they all have those holes that they jump in? So Peter makes those and fits them to you, and you can't get bigger than your tree hole. And so in the book, Slightly has to like secretly carve his tree hole to make it bigger for him to fit. And he was like so worried that Peter Pan was going to find out that he was growing.
Peter sounds like a dictator.
Maybe that's why I like this book so much. In the book, Wendy has a pet in Neverland. What was it?
A cat.
I'm gonna go with like some sort of bird.
Okay, what do you remember, Andrea?
A wolf.
It is a wolf. You can see it down here. Her feet are resting on it. It's kind of neat. So she like had dreamt about it when she was younger, or like in her dreams. And when she went to Neverland, the one that was like in her dreams was actually there.
Aww.
Does the wolf also have to clean?
No.
Only if it's a girl wolf.
What happens every time you take a breath in Neverland?
I have no idea.
I
Andrea?
have no idea what it would be.
Fairy is born?
A grown-up somewhere falls down dead.
I knew it was something like I could not remember. Because yeah, when a baby laughs, a fairy is born.
Yeah, but when anyone breathes.
That ratio seems like a little bit unfair. Like we're gonna have no grown-ups.
So when Wendy tells Peter that she wants to go back to the real world, basically, Peter doesn't like it. And he goes outside and starts breathing a lot because he knows it kills grown-ups.
He's like,
the real world.
oh my god, I forgot about that part.
What? This is a dark. I gotta read this book because that's insane. Like that ratio.
Oh my god, I forgot about that.
Oh my god.
Don't go for a jog.
Yeah, no kidding. How long did it take for the children to get home from Neverland on the ship? How long do you think it
A
would
week.
At least 10 days. In the book, the trip to Neverland is actually drawn out a lot longer. Like it takes them a long time. Like they have to like steal food from birds flying by, and then they like start falling asleep, and Michael starts to go down, and Peter has to save him because he so chooses so. But yeah, it actually is a long time. This is just a fun fact. Captain Hook and Mr. Darling are almost always played by the same person. And even in the Disney version, the voice actor was the same for both.
Oh, I always thought they were kind of similar. It always reminded me of The Wizard of Oz. You know how like her family is all the people?
Oh, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
So they like all work on the farm, and then the tornado happens or whatever,
Oh,
and
yeah.
the land of Oz, and the Tin Man is the farmhand, and I don't know, I can't remember who's who, but they're all the farm people that she lived with. So Captain Hook always reminded me of the dad, and that's pretty cool.
It is the
I
same
like the name of that.
voice. Okay, last fun fact. So J.M. Barrie gave all the rights to Peter Pan to Great Ormond Street Hospital. And so it still to this day receives royalties anytime the play is conducted, or like anytime it's done. And then inside my book, it even states this last part about how it always like the royalties always go back to doctors, nurses to help cure the children who are lying ill in the Great Ormond Street Hospital for Sick Children in London.
Oh wow,
That's awesome.
that's cool.
Liz
That's a
told
good
me about that, and then I looked it up and verified, and then turns out it's actually my own book. I should have just read it.
It was on the front of the animated movie. If you watch
Oh, really?
the beginning part, it says that.
No.
That's all I got.
Did you also remember how Peter Pan has a bad memory and like their whole
Yeah.
trip to Neverland, he keeps forgetting who these people are that he's with?
Mm-hmm.
What?
His
He's like,
memory.
who are you again?
Dude. Like, I hate Peter Pan now.
And
It's like
Captain Hook
it's
was
different.
like obsessed with doing what did they call it? Having good form.
yeah.
Obsessed with that, and they actually mentioned it in the animated movie, but not
What
other
does he mean by having good form?
like always sitting straight or
Posture and okay, like literally what? Okay.
Yeah.
like looking good and
In the book too, once they take the ship and they're on their way back to the real world, Peter becomes Captain Pan and starts making Wendy make him new clothes out of Captain Hook's old clothes.
That's shocking to me. I'm utterly shocked.
Well, I thought that was really
Work-
eerie because it makes you wonder if or if Captain Hook was just a
boy.
previous Peter Pan. Like, is that how the cycle starts? You know?
Yeah.
So creepy. Do you also, Madeline or Andrea, have any scandalous quotes from Peter Pan that emphasize this is not a children's book?
oh, I do. Let me tell you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have one very scandalous quote, I guess I shall say. So Peter's guarding the little hut, which Wendy lives in. Kelly probably doesn't know that. She lives in a hut.
She didn't get to live with the Lost Boys?
No, she
No.
lives in her slave quarters.
So
I do not a fan of that.
the little house looks so cozy and safe in the darkness, with a bright light showing through its blinds and the chimney smoking beautifully, and Peter standing on guard. I'll show you Peter if you want to see a picture of him.
Oh, it's not even a nice hut.
No.
It has a chimney.
So she can make dinner for him.
After a time, he fell asleep, and some unsteady fairies had to climb over him on their way home from an orgy. Kelly's reaction's like, what?
What happens every time a fairy has sex? Like, babies laugh? I don't know. Like, what the hell?
Also, I can't remember what part it is, but they're describing Tinkerbell, and they use some word that's like italicized. I looked it up. It totally means she has huge boobs.
I didn't notice that one. I didn't look up the word.
Well, I always like read with a dictionary. It's really weird.
Oh.
Look up words because I've been reading these English books and I'm like, I don't know what that means. So I'll look it up and I was like, oh, that's a weird word. And so I looked it up and I was like, oh, okay. Well, and in the book, how they like take out the pirates, they hide in the like captain's room, and they, as the pirates keep going in, they just keep killing them. So they just come in and then they're like, oh, he's dead. Someone else go in. And then they just like slaughter a bunch of pirates.
And John and Michael, so Michael kills a pirate, and then when they go back to London in the book, Michael's like sees his dad, and he's like, thankfully his dad's asleep, but Michael's like, I've killed pirates bigger than him. It's a very morbid story. I would say for sure it's not meant for children, but no. I would say that I would rate it an A because I have read it multiple times now, and like the writing itself I feel is very, very good. Like it's captivating and it's really different from any books I've read. Like his creativity to me is just really impressive.
I liked it too. It was a really good book.
I mean,
how would you rate it, Andrea?
What would you rate it?
I would probably rate it a B-. I don't think I will read it again, but I really liked it. Yeah, he's like such a jerk in the book. Like so.
Movie he was like I said, I watched it this morning and I was kind of like, I don't remember him being such an ass. I'm like, oh my god, Peter. And everybody's like fighting over him. I'm like, ew.
I think it's funny how often he compliments himself in the book.
Yeah, he's like, I'm so smart. Thought of that. Even though he didn't think of it. Or
Even in the movie, the Native Americans put the headdress on him and they have their party. And then when he gets home, he's like, oh, you don't have anything to say to me, Wendy. And she's like, clearly mad. And he's like, everyone else thinks I'm great. And I was like, oh, of course.
That actually didn't even happen in the book. They didn't have that party. And like the following the leader part didn't happen in the book either.
I love that song.
Yeah.
Does anybody else sing that when they're just like hiking?
Yeah.
No.
can't
Brian
say
and
that I have.
Brian and I were hiking like 2 weeks ago, a month, I don't know. Time's lost. I've lost all sense of time. Before we were quarantined, we were hiking, and I totally broke out in that song because I was following him.
What was your husband's reaction to this?
Nothing. He's not surprised by anything that I do.
You just
Yeah. I feel like Corey would just be like, whatever.
I make so many good Monty Python references too, and he doesn't get any of them. He thinks I just like say these things with no context.
He's probably like, this is so weird.
Yeah, he's just stopped questioning all the weird things I throw out because he doesn't understand the references.
Oh boy.
Well, there you have it.
Peter Pan.
And
Peter Pan. Oh.
turns out he's kind of a jerk.